Hello, good morning and welcome to Business. Minister of Trade and Industry Dr. Eko Spielgabra has reiterated government will take remedial measures to avoid negative impact of the UK's exit from the European Union. In an interview after the Ghana Business Day celebration breakfast meeting, which was organized by the International Chamber of Commerce, Dr. Spielgabra said the nation is not expecting any significant impact on businesses. He, however, maintained that Ghana will have separate bilateral agreements with the UK away from previously signed negotiations it had with the EU.
The Brexit, as it's popularly known, has brought about many changes in international trade agreements with the EU and the UK. For Ghana, agreements with the EU will no longer be applicable after 2 years of the Brexit, hence the need to have a separate bilateral agreement. Trade Minister Dr. Spielgabra was speaking in an interview with Joy Business at the sidelines of the Ghana Business Day celebration and breakfast meeting organized by the World Trade Center, Accra, and the International Chamber of Commerce, Ghana. He noted that there are more times ahead for both nations to negotiate a smooth transition and to avoid any impact from the Brexit.
The UK does not expect to have any significant change in its relationship with the European Union until the negotiations over their exit from the Union begin. The negotiations have not even begun. And when the negotiations begin, everybody expects that to take at least 2 years for a new agreement to be reached between the British and the European Union. And it is only when we see where those negotiations are going that countries like Ghana can see if aspects of the negotiations may have a negative impact on our economy, especially with our exports into the European Union or into Britain. And then we can take remedial measures in terms of our bilateral agreements with the UK. When the British leave the EU, then agreements that Ghana have with the EU will no longer apply to Britain. And that will mean that you now have to go to Britain itself and have your own bilateral agreements with them, just as Ghana with other African countries has with the United States through the Africa Growth and Opportunities Act.
On his part, British High Commissioner His Excellency John Benjamin stressed the UK will be having a new trade relation with Ghana in the development of the agriculture and export sectors. He said the UK government will consult the government of Ghana to renegotiate some of their already existing trade and bilateral agreements.
As a major partner, donor partner, we want the very best for Ghana. We trade with Ghana, we cooperate with Ghana, we contribute over £100 million a year in various forms of development aid, and we want to see the Ghanaian economy flourishing to the benefit of all Ghanaians, and we think international free trade is a part of that, and it contributes to global prosperity and to Ghana's prosperity. Obviously, there have been difficulties in Ghana's macroeconomy. That was why the IMF came and why a deal was done to bring about greater macroeconomic discipline in the management of the economy, and we hope that Ghana's economy continues its impressive growth rates, is able to reach again the heights that it reached around 2009, 10, 11 in terms of growth, to the benefit of everybody in Ghana.
And the Private Enterprise Federation (PEF) and civil society group Third World Network are making a case against the signing of the Economic Partnership Agreement (EPA). This comes as government intensifies its stakeholder consultations over the agreement expected to allow Ghana and other developing countries duty-free access to European markets. But speaking with Joy Business at a breakfast meeting organized by Graphic Business in partnership with Stanbic Bank, Executive Director of the Third World Network, Dr. Yao Graham, said they are not entirely against agreements with international trade partners, but only concerned the terms in the current EPA do not augur well for Ghana's economy.
We've always consistently opposed the EPAs because the agreement which is on the table, we think it's inimical for our national development, and it's also not good for regional integration. The terms of the agreement will destroy domestic enterprise, would lose its tariff revenue, would take away some of the key policy instruments that every government needs to be able to control and plan its development. It will also undermine regional integration and to be a footstool for demands from other countries for similar terms, and also the elements of the agreement on, say, future negotiations on services, government procurement, investments, capital accounts, as well as the request for most favored nation treatment for the European Union when we give them to other countries. Those are not needed for an agreement that has to be WTO compatible, which is the justification for launching the EPA negotiations.
On his part, Chief Executive Officer of PEF, Nana Osei Bonsu, says a focus on growing the local trade sector should be prioritized over competing on the global stage.
When you start a business, you have to learn your way up to become a pillar. The European market is a market that has been efficient for hundreds of years. We are at rudimentary level. So having access to the EU market doesn't necessarily mean that we can compete in that market. And we have seen recent returns of Ghanaian exports that went into EU because they didn't meet the standards and they were turned back. So having access, we went there, but we couldn't meet the competition. So what I'm saying is, let's cultivate the growth of our domestic private sector, the growth of our products before we even think about going to the EU market. The gentleman talked about mango beverage. Now, there are a lot of imports coming in here. Can't you take advantage of the market to perfect your product before you go to compete? Recently, the EU wrote to us that Ghanaian exports to EU should not use certain products, should not use certain chemicals. Now, we didn't even know the chemicals. We wrote back to them. Can you identify the chemicals and the points of origination coming to Ghana to alert us so we can tell our people? They did not. Why? Because it's coming from the EU market, coming to us, and we turn around, use it, and they ban and prevent the kind of imports that we bring into them. So we have to learn how to become competitive. We have to learn the quality of the products that we send into them. We have to learn what the market demands. There's a difference between what goes to EU, a difference what goes to United States. Those kind of things we have to learn. That's why we're able to take advantage of the AGOA. It's still available to us. How come we haven't taken advantage?
But Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, Murtala Mohammed, disagrees. He says rejecting the offer from the EU would not be in Ghana's interest.
The EPA, we have come a stage that something ought to be done. And I still remember as a student leader when this whole debate of the EPA indeed started and gained some momentum when I was the Secretary General of the All Africa Students Union. We took a position as a student leaders that we didn't need to sign, but having been in government, I also look at the pros and cons. And mind you, Nigeria took a position, and the position of Nigeria was that, in fact, specifically President Buhari wasn't going to sign, and it is understandable because the Nigeria's economy is and was oil dependent. To that extent, they had the luxury to do that. Ours is not. We are mindful of the fact that there are a lot of jobs that can be lost as a result of the possibility of, if you like, the European Union implementing the threat that they have given. So it is not as if Ghana is just going ahead to sign. Our experts have been debating with the European Union. There have been some compromises that have been made. There have been some adjustments that have been made. And I think in going forward, these are issues that we are looking at. The concern of government is not just signing. The concern of the sub-region is not just signing. The concern of government and the entire sub-region is to sign a deal that will be beneficial to us, that will be beneficial to our businesses, that will be beneficial to our economy. And I think that is what government has been doing. Mind you, His Excellency the President was the chair of ECOWAS. ECOWAS took a position, and there was no way Ghana could do anything rather than go by the position of ECOWAS. I had the opportunity to have met the European Union Trade Commissioner with Honorable Hannah in Senegal, and issues about the implementation of the CET, Common External Tariff, came up, because if we want to sign EPA, we're also mindful of the tax regimes, and there wasn't anything wrong with that.
And that's it for Business on News Desk. More updates in business will come your way at midday. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji Riafi. Up next is sports.